Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to the Healer's Connection, the show where you can find valuable information about areas that you need healing and also connect directly with the healers that might be right for you. I'm Dr. Michelle Pedicola, founder of Secrets of Life and Death and Second Chance Secrets, enabling you to have a better, more joyous, more wonderful life adventure with you and your family. And at the basis of this are four what I call superpowers of a great life. And that is spirit, which is what I believe who you really are, your body, which is this vehicle you have to navigate this earthly plane in, and your mind, which is part of your body, but seems to have a mind of its own, and finally, other people. And when you have these four superpowers in balance and in harmony and guided by your spirit, life is good. But when they're not in balance, when they are fighting with each other, then life is difficult. So the work that I do is help you to get those four superpowers into balance. We're going to begin our show today by setting intentions. Our intention for this show, what do you want to get out of it? So I want you to sit back, close your eyes, and just allow yourself to take this short but very important journey. Because when you set your intentions, you set in motion the energy of the universe to give you exactly what you want. So go ahead and either gentle or close your eyes and start taking deep, slow, relaxing breaths. Breathing in with your nose and exhaling with your mouth. And inhaling and exhaling. And inhaling. And this time when you exhale, I want you to let go of all worries, all concerns, all tension, all troubles. Just let that all slide out through your body, through the soles of your feet, and down deep into the earth. Like just drain it all out through roots in the soles of your feet. And then when you inhale, I want you to bring up the energy of earth so that you feel nice and grounded and safe and supported. And this time I want you to bring that energy of earth right into your heart and let it commingle with the energy of your heart. And this time sending your energy of your heart out through the top of your head, out into the heavens, out into the universe, out past all the planets and stars. And when you inhale in, bringing in all the guidance and wisdom of the universe, bringing that down into your heart, connecting with the energy of earth, forming that circuit so that now the energy is circulating between heaven and earth. And letting that energy expand to totally surround you in a bubble, in a sphere of protection, so that you are totally safe as you go deep into your body and check in with yourself. I want you to take a moment to put your hand on your chest and feel your heart beat. Feeling it pulse throughout your body. And following the pulse of your heart, I want you to explore your body and see if you notice anywhere in your body that there is dis-ease, discomfort, blockage, sadness, grief, stuckness. And when you find a place of that nature, and it doesn't have to be huge, I want you to focus on that place. And that is the place in which you are going to find your intention for today, because we are about healing. So focusing on that place in your body that feels just a little stuck, ask that place, tell that place, I am here to hear you, and listen Tell me what you need right now. And then wait. Wait for a thought, for a sound, for an image, for a song, for a sensation that gives you an indication of what you need right now. Taking a moment. And then taking a few more breaths, bringing yourself back into the room, back into the moment, back into the present. And slowly, slowly, slowly open your eyes and look around. And welcome back. And I want to begin. And if you want to, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and put in the chat what your intention is for this session today. And I'm going to invite one of our two guests, both of our guests, one at a time, to share their intention for their presentation today. So I want to begin with Rochelle Evans. Rochelle, what came up for you when you did this meditation?
What came up for me was to give peace, to give healing, and also a message of hope.
Nice. Love it. Okay, we're going to be back with you in a moment. I want to invite Kathlyn. So hold on. Kathlyn, how about you? What are you, what's your intention for today?
My intention for today is to live the fuck up.
I love it.
All the time, and especially now, right now. And I feel really surprised at the space that you've created. It's gentle. I'm sorry for being gross, but I really want to not waste time.
Yes, yes, not waste time. There is not a moment to lose. That's awesome. And I want to share my intention, which is to share love and healing with all of you and to have you have the most amazing time on this show today. The topic and focus of today is your life purpose. This is the mission of your spirit, why you came into this three-dimensional plane, this three-dimensional existence. And often we lose connection with our mission, with our spirituality when we're young, because we have to survive our families. And so in doing that, we oftentimes have to change our behavior to protect ourselves. For example, my husband is a genius at hiding. He has the magic of invisibility that matches Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, because in his childhood, the family was not safe. Me and many others, they learned what I call pleasing others. Well, so many of us women have to learn that, don't we? In both cases, the child learns to put their happiness outside of themselves and trying to manipulate the world to give them what they need. What you want to learn is how to connect to source, your true support in this life. The important mindset trick that you want to cultivate in your life is to realize that everything you need to fulfill your mission in this life is available to you. The challenges of childhood have actually provided you with the gifts and the special talents that will enable you to fulfill your mission. When you start to look at it that way, you look at your childhood in a different way. as something that's valuable, the cauldron, the egg that has created you, the genius you. So I want to begin by inviting Rochelle back onto the stage. And I'm going to share her background. Rochelle is an intuitive certified life coach, Reiki master, and intuitive soul reader. She channels communications from the deceased, heals souls, and coaches those who are grieving. Her intuition supports her clients in exploring new possibilities for their life and in creating and achieving their new goals. Rochelle, welcome to Healers Connection.
Thank you, Michelle, for allowing me to be present with you and your beautiful audience.
You're so very welcome. I want to start out by asking you about your primary work, which is working with people who are grieving. Why did you choose this path? Isn't it difficult to work with people who are grieving? Isn't it sad?
You know what, Michelle? There are moments of emotion that are of sadness, and that's why I'm here. That's one of many reasons why I work with women. I work the women I call queens, because there's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing impossible for us. We multitask. We're amazing. There's no one like us. And me being a woman personally, myself, with the experience that I have, I decided through spirit and with spirit, through my own personal journey that I've given birth to, is to work with the women who have lost a loved one. These are the women who have went through a transition, a change in their life of losing their most precious, adored person. And they're immobilized. They cannot move forward. So I personally, with commitment to help them by guiding them, by having them go through their own personal transition of healing. And so that's why I'm here. This is my passion. I've been on both sides of the tracks. And what I mean by that is I've been on the side where being the life coach. But when my mother personally passed away January 13th, 2013, my whole world turned upside down. She was my rock. She was the one who was with me through thick and thin. No matter what was going on, she was there for me. Besides God, it was her. And for her to be suddenly gone, it sent me into a whirlwind. It sent me into a journey of finding out, besides me being a child of God and a child of my mother, I had this urge to know, who is Rochelle? And then that's when my life began to transition. And I've always been a person who has always been humble. I've had the spirit of humbleness and being able to serve. I started serving at the age of 11 as a child, helping my friends who were in turmoil. And I'm a problem solver. I start solving their problems. These were my friends, especially some particular ones at that time, who come from a family of abuse, who came from a family of substance abuse and many things of that nature. And so I was there for them when they needed. And I've been giving ever since. I've been supporting ever since the age of 11. And when I come to find out through my own experience, is that life has a way of showing up unexpectedly, but not knowing what to do or how to do things, especially when it comes to a loss of a loved one. So I've had Yes.
It's
And so
true. In this culture, we do not teach people how to deal with the loss of a loved one. So I want to
exactly.
make sure that we keep on because, as I said, I have 4 questions for you, and I want to. So, did you complete that, or do you have any more words to say before I ask you the next question, which I know everybody is waiting for the answer for?
Oh, yes, bring it on. Yes.
You can channel communications from the deceased. How is that helpful in your work?
Oh my God, it is so helpful. It's like unbelievable. We do have a gift. I believe we have a gift of intuition, and how that helps me is that, to give you an example, say someone is blind, they can't see. And so what happens is the other senses, our feelings, these are all with emotions, our feelings, what we see, what we hear, it immediately compensates for us not seeing. So you may be able to actually hear someone. I've heard many times someone on the other side said, Rochelle, tell Kathlyn, I said, sugar baby, sugar baby, sugar baby. That was one of my experiences. And so I was, at that moment, I was praying with my friend because we're prayer warriors. And so I was like, wait a minute, this is all new to me. It hasn't been that long since I've had this gift, right? And so it was her father. I never knew her father. And so I said to her, I said, Kathlyn, I said, your father's saying sugar baby, sugar baby, sugar baby. Did he used to call you sugar baby? She was like, yes, he used to call me sugar baby. And so I was like, well, he's saying sugar baby right now. And so it was just amazing. When I first started with this, I had retired from working with the city and county, and I worked in a psychiatric lockdown facility for 23 years, and there was never a dull moment, I tell you. And so when I retired, my mother had already passed, and I retired. I remember seeing on Meetup, I'm like the Meetup queen, right? And so I seen on Meetup, there was an opening for someone to come to a group. And it was a psychic development group. That was my first group I went into. That night I went, I listened to them. They were already doing mediumship, which is exactly what we're talking about, where someone on the other side who you're talking to is a relative of theirs is giving messages. They're channeling the messages to them. And so I sat in the class and I listened to everyone. And so the host, he says to me, he says, Rochelle, do you have anything that you would like to say or do? And I said, well, sure, I'll try, right? And so before I knew it, I was telling the women and the men what spirit was saying to me, what their relatives were saying. Some of them were in tears, crying. It was just so amazing. There's like, how did you know? And it was just amazing. So it kind of went like that from week to week. And I love it. And what I love about this is that I'm able to help. There's many of us who is like, after their loved ones is on the other side, it's like, well, what happened to my loved one? Where are they? Are they okay? What's going on when I need to, do they have a message for me? So, I am so grateful to have this gift and a few others and able to support humankind for the greater good.
Well, this brings me to my next question, which is, what does it mean to have a spiritual gift? And does everybody have a spiritual gift?
So what it means to have a spiritual gift is, first of all, it's an awakening. And it's awakening within your spirit that some people may not believe or notice. Like, if I say to you, Michelle, I just heard my sister talk to me, and I hear her speaking right now, you may be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand. But it's the spirit within itself that gives to us this gift of expanding our senses, as I said, our feelings, our seeing, and a knowing. Even though sometimes you may not understand, but it's like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, I know without any perplexities that this is what it is, and I'm going to pass this on.
So I was just telling Kathlyn before you showed up that I've been working on this speech about my mother. And this is part of Toastmasters and being part of this competition. And every morning for the last few weeks, I'm getting downloads from my mother. So I think it's a little bit like, it's not quite like you, because you sometimes get that. Part of it is just getting out of your way and listening to that inner voice that we sometimes ignore. So that's awesome. So you have as a question how people in this audience might connect to the higher dimension. And my question is, why should they? Will this help them to figure out what their life purpose is? Because this is sort of our theme for today.
Oh, most definitely. It will help in so many ways, because once you're spiritually connected, it may be your higher consciousness, it may be God, it may be your spirit guides, which could be a family member. Once you spiritually connect with them, that opens up communications where you can live your utmost positive life that there can be. Your spirit guide will guide you. My spirit guide, her name is Shira. I named her Shira. And so I talk with her every day. I came up with that name because she's a female. So there's the she. And I thought a hero, but it's like, that was a kind of masculine. So I said Shira and just put the ra on it. And so I've had this relationship with her for years now, and she guides me. She gives me directions. And I have my mother and so many others that supports and guides me. So yes, you know, I have a spirit of protection. Our angels, they protect us. Michael, Archangel Michael, he protects us.
Yeah.
And there's many more. So yes, it is a gift and it is a blessing, most definitely.
So when you work with your clients, do they sometimes need guidance in terms of what they should be doing with their lives, especially after they've had a significant loss? Is that something that you help people with?
Yes, I do. My primary is, first of all, is meeting them right where they're at, Michelle. So if they come to me, they're angry, they're lonely, I meet them right where they're at. And I listen to them. And through my listening, I'm able to give them validation that they know that I'm present, I'm here with them. And we can move forward in setting up a goal, setting up plans for them to be able to move beyond that pain and move into a place of healing.
Nice. So I want to remind you that you are all welcome to put some questions for Rochelle before we finish up with her. We have a few more minutes in which you can ask her questions if you want to do it. And Rochelle, in the meantime, I want to give you an opportunity to let people know how they can connect with you if they want to. If you have a free offer or something in which they can engage with you, to talk about it now, and then make sure you put your links or connections into the to the chat, which reminds me, I don't think I ever put my link into the chat earlier. Duh.
Well, sure, of course, thank you. So you can reach me. One of the things I must say first is I love teaching. And in teaching, I will be able to give you a free workshop, a free masterclass, which consists of meditation, breath work, and being able just to go with the flow of things wherever you may be at that moment. I offer a free consultation, life after loss. We can talk where I can get to know you, what you're going through, because my goal is valuing you, every single one who comes to me. I value the women. I value them with safety, and this is through my own experience that I've done this and created a spiritual soul system for healing for the women. And so it's experience. experience that, it's said that experience is the best policy, which is true in this case, because I cannot support you, I cannot guide you or anything if I haven't experienced a loss of a loved one. How could I possibly?
Right.
And so these are the things that I value. So I give a lot of value to the women, and
Awesome.
I will put in where you can reach me. I will put it in the
Great.
chat.
Before you do that, we have a question from Sarah, who said, how do you manage ambiguous grief? So ambiguous, I think you mean ambivalent. That is, that you both feel grieving, but also a different. Do you want to say anything more about that, Sarah? Do you mean ambiguous or ambivalent?
Ambiguous.
Ambiguous. So what do you mean by that? That you're not quite sure whether you're grieving, or you're not clear, or say a little bit more so that we can answer you better.
Oh no, I'm definitely clearly grieving.
Okay.
Ambiguous grief is type of grieving where can no longer have this person in your life. It's a death of the person who has not left the earth.
Ah, okay.
It's a death of the
Yes.
person in your life. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So you've
when I
lost somebody and you can no longer have contact with them. And yet it's difficult to grieve that person because they're still alive.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
makes it ambiguous.
Yes. And of course, you don't get the same kind of support that people who actually lost somebody through death do, right? You don't. You don't get
Right.
to go to the grief groups.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
hard part. And unfortunately, it is a family member who.
Oh, that's even harder when it's a family
Right.
member. Yeah.
Right. It's
Oh, that is sad.
I
Yes.
have to say, I can't put myself in the line of fire with this person anymore.
I understand.
Who you're supposed to love,
Yeah.
who's supposed to love you, who only actually hurts me.
Hurts you. Yes.
And I can't continue to let myself be hurt.
No, you can't.
Because they aren't well.
That's right.
And so I have to
Protect yourself.
say,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
right. And that's the ambiguous grief, right?
Well, and there's all the sadness about what could have been and the parts that you still love about that person, right?
Well, there's that, but also like the parts of what you wish could have been.
Yes.
Or what they even, I think, in their unfortunate mental state, think that they could have too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's so many levels, unfortunately.
Yes. It's difficult. Rochelle, did you want to answer any of how you manage that?
Yes. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
And hi, my dear. I just want to say that you are the most important person in this here. And say, if, for example, if you was to work with me, we would set up a plan that would be for your healing. It's still about healing. It's always about healing. And how you would be able to go through a system of healing. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Say you come to me. One of the things that we would do first and foremost is I would be your support system, because this person is still alive, of course. Yeah. So you can get support from others, don't get me wrong. However, I would be your immediate support, where we would set up a plan, as I said, to go through the process of the grief, of what will work for you, where Sarah will be okay with Sarah, where Sarah is protected, where Sarah can be able to still function emotionally and being able to release those feelings in a way that resonates way within your soul, Sarah. And so that would be one of the things of many that we would do.
Thank
Right.
you.
You're welcome.
So at this point, Rochelle, make sure you put in your contact information
most
into
definitely.
the chat. And
Sure.
while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and invite Kathlyn on because we're at the halfway point. And where have I lost my mouse? Hold on. There we go. Whoops. Let me bring myself back. There I am. Okay, Kathlyn. I'm going to introduce Kathlyn, who is an amazing person also. She has been studying conscious living since she was a kid. I didn't have any idea what conscious living was then. And reading hands since 1994. She's a student of the International Institute of Hand Analysis. There is an international institute, the premier school in the world. Hands are the most tangible way she has found to connect spirit to shoe leather and walk this earth really alive. Kathlyn has a knack for helping people to fall in love with their potential and live it up. She wants to help people learn that when you get the hang of it, it can be sweet and relatively easy to follow the wisdom of the hands. She wants to help people learn that when you get the hang, oh, I just read that, sorry. It's repeated, sorry. Kathlyn, welcome to the show. Welcome to Healers Connection. I'm so glad you joined me today. I'm going to start by asking you, what is modern hand analysis and how is it different from palmistry? Or the gypsies reading your hand?
Okay, it is palmistry without the taboo, without the resistance, and with more sophisticated scientific exploration. And what I mean by scientific is observation, hypothesis, testing, more observation, but it is not materialistic. It is not limited to material. It is complete. It is using that tool as one of many of your capabilities as you explore real life and really living it up.
Awesome. So basically what you're saying is it's both scientifically based, but it's also holistic. So it takes in much more than the science. It involves many realms. Is that what I'm interpreting right?
I look at science, I can define scientific two ways. One is observation, hypothesis, testing, and further understanding, increasing your understanding, increasing your hypotheses, and so on. So it can also be very materialistic and just be weights and measures and so on. So I think that the science, as I use it, meaning applied to meaning, our world of meaning, not just our world of matter. I think that is where hand analysis starts. But we are, for me, it's where hand analysis starts.
So,
And what I'm after is to live a life of the most effective, meaningful purpose and joy. And when I'm living that way, my maker is happy, my world is happier.
so I think that maybe some of our people don't know that much about hand analysis, and give them an example of how hand analysis could actually help them. Why would somebody want to have their hand analyzed? Is it going to tell you the future? How does it help you?
Well, just as a device, just for me to talk to you all, I'm going to talk about 4 layers of the components of hand analysis. And imagine that each of these components is like a layer in Photoshop, so that you add one picture to the other, to another, and so on, to get a deep, multidimensional, and complex picture of how we work and why we have these desires, why we have this resistance, how this experience that I had that I thought was meaningless or embarrassing or not enough or shameful or something or other, it does have meaning in when I see my whole picture, this multidimensional picture.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give us, this is only a device. It's not like set in stone or matter or anything. It's just for me to talk with you. Let's talk about the layer, the Photoshop layer of the dermatoglyphs. The dermatoglyphs are the skin ridges all over the palm, and most importantly, in the fingerprints. And especially in the fingerprints, they make up the soul's agenda. The dermatoglyphs, as my teacher calls it, the dermatoglyphs are the only thing that really cannot change from before birth until we leave our body. And so the soul's agenda factor gives that total life purpose, deepest meaning, highest goal, all penetrating yet indistinct, like the lodestar. It's always there, whether you can see it in the starry night or obscured by the daytime hustle and bustle. It is the reason I got into the hand analysis business. Also, the hand shape. Everybody's hand shape is unique to us. And that hand shape is kind of like the cornerstone to our personality. Kind of like the land that we see as real and how we orient ourselves in the world.
Can you give
how
some
we
examples?
Understand our world.
Can you give some examples of maybe somebody you've worked with and how the hand told you something about them, so that people get a kind of a clearer idea of what hand analysis can tell you?
I got a great idea.
All right.
Hold up your hand, Michelle.
Oops.
Yeah, there we are. Okay. Pull it back a little bit so I can, that's great. Okay. All right. Now pull it, I'll just look at your hand shape. Pull it back a little bit so I can
Okay.
see your whole hand. Okay. All right. So, Michelle, you're quite a richly endowed being, and you have lots of talents, and it's almost like all the board members are crowding into the board meeting, and they're saying, oh, wait a minute, there are not enough chairs for for this table, and so we're going to have to listen for our opportunity and also appreciate what each other and the combinations of these talents require, and then harmonize the ideas to harmonize. So you're highly sensitive, you're how can I put this? A being who is at once highly philosophical, so that you need to understand every corner, every step before you take it, and you have to understand and turn it around and examine. You want to know about your world. But interesting, your world is very subjective. You're a, how can I put this? You're a watery type with a lot of, let me see your hands again. Hold your hand up straight. Okay. You're, I'm talking to myself in hand language, and it's hard to
Translate.
Yeah, to
Translate.
the group. And
You don't have to go further if you don't want to, because that's a really, really good demonstration about how you can look at just the shape of the hand and realize that there's a way to read that tells a lot about the person, because who you are is manifest in your shape and your structure. It affects how you are in the world, doesn't it? How your shape, and your shape is reflected in your hands.
Yes. And you know what's interesting? It's interesting, you know, I know you from many engagements, but I haven't seen the inside. So I'm so surprised to take a look at your hands and to see how highly sensitive you are. And so you're a highly sensitive, volatile, philosophical, need to know the subtle and the precise. And Ellen, would you like to raise your hand and let me see what you got?
Ellen, do you want to come on? Do you mind coming on the stage with us?
Not at all.
Okay, let me find, oh, good, you raised your hand. Okay, so, because then everybody can see it.
Okay, all
And
right.
can you see her hand okay?
Yes, yes. And it is, what strikes me really strong is less the hand shape than the attitude of your hands, and how it's like you have, your life has said, we don't have a place for you, Ellen, and we don't really understand what you have to offer. And it has your willpower and your manifester and your stick to it pulled back, and feeling like the world doesn't have a place for me. That with your pinky, your communications finger, taking a wide berth from the middle of the road. And so it's like you're saying, you guys don't get it. I got value, and you don't appreciate it. You don't make room for me. And so what I would do as I kind of share these components, all the components with you, is to show you that you already do have room in this world, that the world need not, that you need not back off from manifesting in the world. And you can share that extraordinary mind of yours, that extraordinary perspective of yours. You can share it and make no bones about it.
Wow, that's amazing, Kathlyn.
Wow, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to remove your spotlight for now so I can finish our questions with Kathlyn. That was amazing, Kathlyn. Wow, you're awesome. That is very, very cool.
So do you know, Ellen, does that?
Yes, yes.
And so that.
Yes, although she can tell you that too. I don't want to out her or anything like that. I don't know that I need to ask this question. You sort of showed that you can make the information really use. How can you make the information really useful? You showed that. It's like it's both tells you where you are, but also tells you what are the kinds of things you need to do for yourself. Like shift your perception of how you're dealing with things.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
Good, thank you, darling. Yes, and I find how difficult it is to stay in that cauldron, as you called it, or that chalice, if you will, of creativity, of being present. And we can take the information and think about it and go home and forget in a way. And so what I want to do with everyone here and more is anyone who wants to, we'll have a conversation about hands, and we'll see how each of us, if you're in the Bay Area, we'll do it one way and so on. Anyway, then I am offering a 6-week ongoing life purpose and creativity support group.
Wow.
So that you can keep learning, you can ask the questions, you can get a better idea rather than to have this information just come out of the blue. And it can be foreign and it can be hard. It can be hard to really adopt and keep on the same track.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so make sure that you put your information into the chat so that people can reach out to you and take advantage of that 30-minute consultation, and also the opportunity to continue with you if that is what they want to do. And that is so amazing. Let's see if we have any other questions. So please, if you have questions, I'm going to bring Rochelle back on, and this is an opportunity for you to ask questions of any one of us about your life purpose or whatever it is that brought you today. Make sure that you take care of fulfilling your intention by being bold and reaching out. And you can either put it in the chat or you can raise your hand. Anybody? Don't be shy. This is your chance. And I want to really acknowledge you, Ellen, for being bold and putting your hand up. You are so amazing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Let's see. I came because I'm wondering what my life purpose is. Very simple. So Carol, do you want to show your hand? Raise your hand, your electronic hand, and let's see you. Because we can't help you with your life purpose unless you engage. There she is, Carol. Are you willing to come on the stage with us?
Sure, I'm getting
Okay.
you some light from my hand.
All right. Okay, so you have 2 experts here, and you can, now she can't see your hand at all because it's totally white. So
Okay,
pull it,
too much.
Yeah, too much.
Take off the background filter might help.
The background filter, your fuzzy background that's hiding your back.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
no,
I
here
can't
you
do
go.
that.
Lift your hand a little bit higher. There you go.
Okay, well,
Just
Now-
briefly, because you don't have much time.
yeah, I cannot tell you the life purpose with this picture of your hands because I need to see your little bitty dramatic glyphs and all 10 of them to be able to tell you the soul's agenda. What I can say is when you first held up that right hand, I said, girlfriend, you're in the right crowd because it looks to me as though you are very careful and also go for broke. And now is the best time in the world for people like you to really mean it and take steps. So that's really all I am going to say now, Carol. I as I said, we'll talk later.
Carol, the
Use
universe.
especially Carol, use especially the email.
That she put in the chat.
That's a direct, I'll give it to you again. That's a direct way we can get right in contact. And we will do that consultation.
Awesome. You are so generous, Kathlyn.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Oh, it looks like Sika. Sika, do you have a question? Do you want to say it or do you want to put it in the chat? Okay.
I have a question for Rochelle. I don't have a recent loss. I'm not in grieving at the moment, but I do wonder, partly from your presentation, if there is some understanding from the other side, from people I'm close to who have passed, that would be useful to me. And is that the kind of thing I could consult with you about?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Okay, thank you. That is something you can definitely consult with me about. I'm already feeling that there's a presence already of someone. I would love to go in more detail with you. Looking at the time that we have left, I would want to be able to spend that time specifically to give you a message. So yes.
Wow, awesome. Okay, looks like we have another person who wants to ask a question. Christina, yes, go ahead, unmute and tell us what your question is.
Hello, thank you. I want to thank Kathlyn for the invitation. Kathlyn, I am one of her students. I have had my hand analysis and I learned something that a big theme about my life that I was never cognizant about.
Wow.
And so that I think it really opened my mind to certain patterns and allowed me to be more conscientious about the decisions I make in my life.
Nice.
I think the one, I guess the one main question that I have right now, it came up with one of the students, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name, but it was around grief, about grieving someone that is still here on earth. I've gone through that process many times before with the woman who gave birth to me, and it's been the hardest relationship for me. But most recently, I had to cut the cord, and it feels indefinite. It feels like it's done. And for the first time, I'm not feeling the grief anymore. And I'm about to be 44, and I'm not feeling like I need to cry all the time and burdened by it. So then the question is this a good sign, or is this just, you know how I like to think of forgiveness as this spiral, right? Like it's not linear. So I'm just wondering if I'm just in a sort of like in this center or so, and then the grief is going to impact me later. And if so, I guess, I don't know what to do. I have been calling on my loved ones who have passed on, who know her, and I've been calling for help with them, with, you know, with the situation. But yeah, I don't know if it's more of a broader question, maybe can't be answered here, but putting it out there in the universe.
Rochelle, do you have an answer?
Oh, yes. Hi there. You know, one of the things that you've done is have acceptance, which goes a long way. Once you totally, emotionally, mentally accept things, that makes a transition, that makes a change where it's like you're able to release it now. And yes, I heard that it's a process, and we all go through a process to heal. And once you've let go, it's basically over. Now, there's times where you may feel, because we all feel a loss at times, but it's not going to be where it's so in depth of the pain that you've released and all. So yes, I feel like you've done very well. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my dear.
So what I have found out from my experience, my many years of being on this planet, is that if there is anything that's left to be dealt with, no worries. It'll come up when you need to deal with it. And in the meantime, you can enjoy the peace. Well, we are almost out of time. You have put your contact information into the chat. Please, all of you, make sure that you save the chat. There are 3 dots over on the right-hand side, the very right corner. And if you click on that, you can click save the chat or save chat, and then you can have the information. Or if you want, you can just copy it down very quickly. Are there any final comments? We're going to end soon, and I want to invite you back in on the 27th of May. I'm going to be taking a break from doing Healers Connection for a while, so be sure to come. This woman, 2 women are going to be talking about bringing money into your life. And one of them is absolutely amazing. She has some sort of feng shui way to help you to change the environment in which you live so that you can either sell your property or attract money into your life. And the other woman is a sales magician, that if any of you are in business, she can help you to have better success in your work. And that is all we have for today. The Healers Connection. Thank you so much for coming today. It's been my pleasure to have all of you. Thank you, Kathlyn. Thank you, Rochelle. And I'm going to go ahead and end our recording.